Get done speaking. I haven't had time where you guys can ask questions. No one's asking questions, so if you have any questions, please hold off until the end. I'll let you know. I'll try and answer as many as we can, however much time permits. So, a little bit of background about me, like he said. I grew up in Indianapolis. I've been on the fire department now since 2001. I started competing in fighting in 1998. I do have 4 kids, so once again, I've been very busy for the past 15 years. Very busy indeed. So, it's always funny to me, though, when I start doing stuff like this. Has anybody ever watched UFC? Anybody here ever seen it? Okay. So, good. You guys are smart group. Like that already. So, a lot of times when people watch that, and then they hear that I'm going to come somewhere and talk about bullying, a lot of people don't get it. They say, what would he know about not bullying people? They look at me and they think that maybe I would be somebody who would be a bully. But maybe my whole life I was somebody who told people what to do. Right? I tried to get what I wanted, or I tried to intimidate people to get the things I want. I mean, isn't that what bullying is? You guys all know what bullying is, right? Yeah. All right. You tell me what it is. All right, what do you got here?
It's like
That's good, yeah. When they're intimidating people physically, using words, or doing things to try and intimidate, try to make people feel bad, all this can be considered bullying. So a lot of people would see me as someone who might do that. They might watch the fights, and they might see that, when I compete with people, we punch each other. They might think that people would be afraid of me and would be forced to do what I want them to do. They think I've been like that my whole life. So what people don't realize is when I was a young kid, when I was in elementary school, middle school, even in high school, I was one of the smallest kids in my class. I know we have some wrestlers here, right? Now, when I was in high school, the lowest weight class was 103. That's what I wrestled. I was the smallest guy on the team. People don't think that now. They think I'm pretty big, but I wasn't then. I was very small. In addition to that, when I was a kid, where I lived, I didn't grow up in a big neighborhood. You guys had neighborhoods with lots of kids, a lot of people to play with. I lived on a dead-end street, so there's a street, nobody else really lived on, a lot of older people, very few kids. The people I hung out with on my street were older than me. They were 3 years older than me. So it doesn't seem like that big of a difference, but when I was in, let's say, 4th grade or so, and I'm hanging out with kids in 7th grade, that's a big difference. It's a real big difference. So there's a big size difference. Everybody was bigger and stronger than me. I remember we used to play, back when I was a kid, there wasn't too many video games and too much TV on, and we had cable, so we played outside and we played sports. That was what we did. We played football, we played basketball, we did whatever. So I always wanted to spend time with the bigger kids. My older friends would have friends over, and I wanted to go spend time with them. I wanted to be part of that group. I wanted to hang out with these guys. And so we played sports. Luckily for me, I was pretty good at football. I was pretty good, pretty athletic. Sometimes we'd play these sports, and when I would do pretty well, these bigger kids didn't like it. They didn't like that a kid 3 years younger than them was scoring a touchdown on them. So they would try to do things to hurt me. I remember getting in fights many times with these kids, not because I wanted to fight them, because they wanted to fight me. They didn't like the way I would do things. They wouldn't like the way, if I did score, I'd run my mouth a little bit, let them know that I had scored a touchdown. They didn't like that, so they would do what they could to physically hurt me or talk bad to me to make me feel bad about myself. One thing that happened, though, was this happened the next day, I'd be back there ready to play again. I just kept coming back because I didn't really have any other friends. I wanted to play with somebody. I didn't have time to spend time with these guys. I looked up to these guys. They were bigger, older kids. So after a while, these guys, I continued to do this, and they began to respect me a little bit. They said, hey, no matter how hard we hit this guy, no matter what we do, he continues to come back. He's tough, so that they end up liking me. And I always remember, the thing that really stuck with me was when that would happen. Sometimes we'd start to play, and my friends would have a new guy come over, and one of their other friends would show up. He didn't know me at all, and he would start to get mad at me, and he would start to want to fight me. I always remember when some of these older kids who I've been playing football with for a long time would actually step up and stand up for me when when the guy would try and do something to me, they'd say, hey, leave him alone, he's okay. Or they say, you better not do that. Or they say something to stop this 7th grade kid from bullying me. And I always remember that, thinking, man, I looked up to these guys who do that. This guy right here is standing up to a guy in his own grade. For me, it's a kid in the 3rd or 4th grade. Why would he do that? Why is this guy going to go out of his way to make sure this guy doesn't make me feel bad? I mean, it was strange, man. I didn't understand why he would do that. I know it helped me out. It gave me a lot of confidence. It made me feel good about myself. And I still look at those guys who helped me, who stood up for me. I still look at those guys like they're heroes. I still think of them like that. Okay, so then I grew up a little bit. I started doing things. I got involved with other sports. High school came and I became a wrestler. I know we got some wrestlers, some other athletes in here. I became a wrestler, and I remember one of my best friends on my wrestling team with me. He was a guy who was the president of the class, so he was well liked by everybody. Really nice. He was a very popular guy. Everybody liked him. But the thing that always drew me towards him, maybe wouldn't be more like this guy, was no matter where we went, no matter who we were around, he always went up and was very nice to everybody. People, you know, some people who other kids might not like or might not be nice to, he'd go out of his way to be nice to them. You ever been in a group of people and everybody's talking, having a good time, one person who's feeling left out and kind of being real quiet over there? My friend would make sure that guy got the conversation, he made sure he included him, he made sure he spoke with that guy, made him feel good. So it was really nice about that guy. He didn't care what you looked like, what kind of clothes you had, who your parents were. He was going to treat everybody the same. And that really let me know what kind of person I want to be. So I try to incorporate this. People who helped me in the past. I try to incorporate this type of person. My friend was, and I kind of use that to develop what kind of person I want to be. We'll get even older, high school, we'll get to USC on the fire department. And it's funny, you know, kids tend to think that when you get older, maybe some of this stuff it stops. Maybe people don't really continue to bully, but it still continues to happen. I can think of it on the fire department. The newer people will be coming through the department, they'll be at my firehouse. Some of the guys on the department might try and intimidate the guys. They might try and make them do their work. They might tell them, you know, you're a new guy, this is what you're supposed to do. I always feel that it's my job, my duty, my responsibility to stand up to these other guys and say, no, no, no. Why are you trying to make this guy do your job? That's your job. This is his job. You're not going to make him do your job. I feel good about myself when I can stand up and make that guy feel better. I don't want the guy to feel like he has to do everybody. I don't want this guy to be able to intimidate and tell him what to do. My job is my responsibility. That's what I look at. So, excuse me. I have decided to get involved with this bullying. I know we talked about it earlier. I have 4 kids. I know some of you know some of my kids. My youngest son, his name is Jake. Jake has autism. So it's always something that I'm worried about. Everybody here know what autism is? Okay. But you guys know some kids who have autism, they might act a little bit different, don't they? Might do things a little bit different. My son Jake might stand too close to you sometimes. He may say something inappropriate. You might start crying for some reason that people don't understand. So it's always been something to me that might think that people don't like it when people act different. They might make fun of them. I know Jake's been very lucky. Everybody around this community very, very good, very happy. That's not always the case in other places I see and other kids. But something like autism, that's something that people can't help. Not something they control, that's not something they can act different if they try. So I look at that as like, to me, it'd be like, okay, let's say tomorrow you came to school, you got really hungry. And everybody started making fun of you for being hungry. So I'm like, oh, they make fun of the way you felt. Like, I can't help it, I'm hungry. That's the same thing with my son. They can't help it. That's just how they are. Or let's say they're making fun of somebody because their hair is blonde, and they keep making fun. It's like, I can't help the way my hair why would you feel better about yourself by making somebody else feel worse? I don't understand. That's the thing about bullying is if you really think about it, people who's going to try and make somebody else feel bad, they're the ones who's really not happy. If I'm really happy, I'm having a good time, do I ever think, man, I'm having a great time, I just wish this guy was feeling bad. Nobody thinks like that. Nobody wants to do that. Bullies are unhappy with themselves and they're trying to make everybody else feel worse than them. So they feel better. You guys ever heard of the term called misery loves company? What that means is when you're feeling bad, you want other people to feel worse, and you think that'll make you feel better. And that's what I think a lot of the bullies, that's their mindset, and that's what they're trying to do.
I was just talking to you.
Okay.
It's on.
Okay, does that sound better?
Yeah.
We figure this out real quick. How does that sound? Can you hear that? I'm going to put my head down like this. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That sounds a little better? Pull this up. Okay. I have to talk like this. Okay. What was I talking about? Okay. Okay, so unfortunately, me talking to you guys about why it's not really nice to bully, why it doesn't make sense, why it's not fair. A lot of these people, they can't control a lot of how they were born. Or it's not only that, sometimes people have trouble, they can't control the situation in which they were born in. I know being on the fire department, I see a lot of very bad things. And something you guys might not really even understand is a lot of things that happen in your life is going to dictate the way you act. For example, I know I've been on different runs with the fire department where the parents, people who are supposed to love these people the most, supposed to love you kids the most and do what's best for you guys. I've been there when the parents have been abusive to kids. And what do I mean by abusive? I mean they might hit their kids. I've been around where people have actually seen different things and know places where people have actually put cigarettes out on their kids, things like that. Not fed their kids when they're supposed to, not give them money for clothes, not buy them things. So in this kid's head, he's dealing with that, the fact that the person who he loves the most is treating him terribly. And this kid might come to school then, and somebody's going to start picking on them for how they're dressed. They're dealing with all these other problems at home. Now they got to go to the school and deal with somebody bullying and picking on them. That's not. They can't control a lot of these things. Why is that fair? Why is this person going to try to make themselves feel better about themselves by making that guy feel worse about himself? Totally uncalled for. So once again, I wish that I could come here and explain all this and everybody could understand what I'm saying and nobody's going to bully anybody anymore. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I know last year I think there was 9,396 cases of bullying reported in the state of Indiana, and that's a lot. That's like 52 a day. That's just the reported cases. I'm sure it happens a lot more than that that are not reported. Probably 10 times as many cases that aren't reported. So that's the ones that are reported. So what I'd like to talk about is maybe some things we can do in case there is bullying going on. First thing I think you can do is you can stand up and fight back. Now, fight back, I'm not necessarily meaning physically fight back. I'm just saying, I know like when I was a kid, we talked about that earlier, one thing I did, I continued to let these guys know it didn't bother me. Like every time they would be mean to me, every time they would try and hurt me physically or whatever, I'd come back the next day. And eventually I earned their respect. So that was one way that I handled it. I mean, you can't do that all the time. Let's say people are, 5 guys who are consistently trying to do something physically to harm you. You don't want to keep doing that every day. So there would be a time you might need to tell somebody. Now, tell somebody can mean you can tell the teacher, you can tell a parent, you can tell their parent. Or I understand sometimes people feel like they're being entitled to, they don't want to get people in trouble. There'd be nothing wrong with telling some of your friends. If you're walking through the hall at the same time every day, You know this guy's going to be there and he's going to do something to you. It would be bad to have one of your friends with you, or a couple of your friends, or strength in numbers people can help you out. That's another thing you can do. But the thing that I really want to see happen, the thing that I'm trying to get people to start accepting and start doing, is I want, when people are being bullied, when people are being picked on, I want other people to step up and start standing up to the bully. So let's say you guys are at this table right here. I know you wouldn't do this, I'm just using you guys as an example. You guys are picking on this girl right here. I would like to see somebody else stand up and stop that from happening. That's what it seems to work. We have a lot of very influential people in here. Have a lot of athletes, a lot of smart kids, a lot of people who other kids like. If those people will stand up and start standing up to the bully and tell them that that's not going to be acceptable, that'll catch on, and then more people will start doing that. And then I want it to be the popular thing and the cool thing to start standing up for other people. That's the thing that needs to happen. I would like to issue that challenge to everybody right now, that when they see something like that happening, they will stand up. Because let me tell you, I wish I had my video screen right here. You can see some of the competitions I've been in. I've been a professional athlete for many years. And there was some of the fights I was in, especially I fought in Indianapolis. I had about 15,000 people, and they were all cheering for me, and they were cheering my name. And it was a great feeling. I was very happy about it. But I don't think it's really as good of a feeling as it's been one of the fire department or different times when I've actually helped somebody and made a difference in their life. That's a much better feeling than being a professional athlete, I promise. And you guys can all have that feeling. When I talk about me as a kid, when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and people would stand up for me, and how that made me feel. I mean, that gave me confidence. It gave me the confidence to go out and do some great things. Once again, I became a professional athlete. You know why? Because I had the confidence that I was great at things. Even when I was a little guy. I was little. I wasn't very strong. How did I do great things? Because I always believed that I could. So, I mean, I think right here today in this room that we don't know, there could be some greatness in here. And I don't even mean athletic-wise. I mean, was me being, in the UFC and being a professional athlete, is that going to make a big difference in the world? Probably not. But there could be kids in here right now who could be great doctors or great scientists if we encourage them the right way. I mean, if you stand up for this guy right over here and he feels good about himself, who knows what he can do? If he continues to get picked on, maybe bad things can happen. There's a guy named Ted Kaczynski. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He was known as the Unabomber. He was a brilliant guy, very smart. It said that he wasn't treated very good in school. He got picked on a lot. He got bullied. I looked it up. Bullied. He got bullied a lot. Brilliant guy, though, very smart. But what did he do? In his mind, because he was picked on and felt bad his whole life, he started putting bombs in these packages and mailing them to people, and they'd open the packages and they blew up. He killed people and hurt a lot of people. Why? He's a brilliant guy. He could have done a lot of good things. But he wasn't treated very good, so he didn't know how to handle things. He hurt people instead. Once again, what I'm thinking here, we can have maybe somebody here, if they're encouraged the right way, could be a great doctor. They could cure cancer. They could figure out a way to help millions and millions of people. But that kind of depends on you guys. You guys right now can all affect everybody in you. You can affect how people's lives are going to turn out, how you treat them right now. So, what I would really like to see, and I live right by here, I talk to the people in the school a lot. So what I would like to do is find out if this is going to happen. I want to find out from the teachers, from the principal. When I talk to them again, I want to find out, are people still being bullied? And if they are people stepping up? Are people rising up against the bullies? Are they trying to do what they can to stop this from happening? Or are they just letting it happen? If they let it happen, I'll be very disappointed. You get a very good feeling from yourself when you stand up and you help somebody else out. I would like everybody to experience that feeling. It's good. It's better to be looked up to than to be feared. So anytime you can, helping somebody else out, everybody will look up to you for doing that. So that's kind of really all I had to want to say about that. What I'd like to do now is open this up to questions about, fire department, UFC and stuff, anything you guys want to talk about. Right here. When I was little and the guys used to kind of beat me, I didn't want to tell my parents because I didn't want them to, well, first of all, my parents were divorced, so it's pretty much just my mom around. So I didn't want to tell her that because I didn't want her to not let me spend time with these older kids. Because she didn't really like me spending time with the older kids anyway because she's like, they're too old for you to spend time with. But she thought they'd get me into trouble. But, it was either that or really not spend time with anybody. And when I always wanted to hang out with the older kids, I felt like they were so neat, so cool, and they're just who I wanted to spend time with. Even if they treat me, I so desperately wanted them to spend time with. I didn't say anything. I just said, hey, I'm just, and I wanted to play with them so much and play football that I just, they were going to beat up on me. That's fine. I would just take it and keep going. It helped them end up respecting me because I kept coming back. But yeah, I did not want to deal with the consequences of my mom telling me I couldn't spend time with them, so I just didn't say anything.
How many UFC did you have?
Oh wow. Well, UFC wise, I don't know. I mean, I fought UFC for many years, but UFC doesn't in one organization. I fought in several different organizations, and I did a lot of professional boxing as well. So I probably have somewhere, I think, 13 or 14 knockouts. But I've actually had more submissions than knockouts. So.
When you say physical, how much do they hurt you when they don't have you?
Well, I was little, so sometimes they would hit you. Sometimes they would just push you down. Sometimes, when we were playing football, they'd do whatever they could to kick me and knock me on the ground. It always ended up somehow me being on the ground. I don't know how it always worked out. They pushed me down, throw me down, knock me down. Sometimes it would come to where we would actually end up fighting, but not very much. I mean, I was a lot littler, so I didn't ever really want to fight people, but I would try to defend myself when they would hit me. But I mean, usually it was just, I wouldn't usually end up with broken arm. I never had broken bones or anything. It just mainly just knocking me down, pushing me down, hitting me and stuff like that. So. Like at schools and whatnot, or it seems like we don't really. I have had lots of. Yeah, I guess you would say more like when we don't really call it bullying, we call it like assault. So we get a run for assault is where one person has physically assaulted another person, usually beat. Sometimes they hit them with objects. So we get those a lot. And once again, I used to think that when you got older, people wouldn't do that type of thing anymore, but that's not the case. So that's going to continue. And that's just another reason to me we need to have people who learn this from a young age. That's unacceptable. And I think the only way we're really going to stop it is if people like yourselves stand up to the people who are being the bullies. And we got to make sure people know that that's not. We want people following the good people who are going to do the right thing, not people who are going to sit there and point and laugh. This guy's getting picked on right here, and all you guys and this girl's doing it. And everybody's just sitting around laughing. I mean, you guys are almost just as bad as this person because you're not helping. You're making this guy feel like everybody's against him. That's not what we want. If you're picking on him, I want everybody here standing up to this person. And I know you would do that. I'm just using it as an example. So that's one way. If you guys can all stop this girl from bullying, that's how it's going to happen.
You started your UFC?
I started fighting in 1998, and the first time I fought in UFC was at the end of 2000, the year 2000. So probably way before anybody here was born. I'm pretty old, so it took a long time. Pardon me? Yes, I did. Football was one of my favorite sports. I love playing football. Once again, think it was after my sophomore year when I was doing very well in wrestling, I decided that it was just smarter for me just to continue with wrestling because football took a lot of time. But yeah, for a long time, football was my favorite sport. How many times? I mean, I don't know. She said how many times have I been bullied? It's just been a long time. I would say I haven't really been, not an awful long time. So I don't know, just really pretty much just when I was a little kid. After that, once I learned that, I kind of stood up for myself, and I usually try to surround myself with good people. That usually doesn't happen too much there. I haven't fought in about 3 years now. She asked me when my last fight was. I think my last fight was in 2011. So let me get some people wins back. What's that? When I fought? When I fought, of course, I always, like I was saying, sometimes when you be in the UFC, that's those guys' job. And let's say I'm getting ready to fight in the fight, and this new guy comes in. A lot of the guys would be beating that guy because the fighting's very mental, and you want to make sure that guy's not ready to fight. So if you start making the guy feel bad, he might not perform well, and then they'll kick him out of the UFC. So a lot of the guys, they try to be mean to the new guys coming in, but I always felt like that was kind of my job, my responsibility to go help those people out and teach them, where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, make them feel comfortable so they can perform well. I know my dad has always told me something that, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I understand what he means by that. He means, I've been fortunate, people have been nice to me, people have treated me well. It's my responsibility to help other people now. So I want everybody else to understand that. What do I do as a firefighter? As a firefighter, I mean, my job is basically, it's the greatest thing ever. Your job is to help people. That's all we're really about. We'll go out. If your house is on fire, we're supposed to go in there and put it out and save whoever's in there, or save your house, save your property. If there's a car accident, we're supposed to go in there. We're supposed to help the people who are in the car accident. If there's a sick person, we're supposed to go there and we're supposed to help get them to the hospital. And even like if there's a cat in a tree, we're supposed to get it out. We're just supposed to be there to help people. So once again, as an adult in everything, from the things growing up as a kid, I always knew I felt better about myself when I helped other people. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, that you will feel very good about yourself if you help other people. You'll feel better about yourself than if you make other people feel bad. So there's no reason to try and make anybody feel bad, laughing at them at their expense to make you feel better. You want to help them and you'll feel much better.
Have you ever been to a football game? It's like somebody that really hurt.
Yeah, I've had to do that at the fire department. I mean, I work in Indianapolis Fire Department, and we're kind of by Warren Central, and I've been there. We had to get the guy out on a stretcher and put him on the couch, take him to the hospital. I think the person ended up being all right, but they were worried that they had broke their neck.
Being a firefighter, does it take a lot of time away from your kids?
Yeah, being a fireman does take away a lot of time. I mean, unfortunately, the way my schedule works is when I'm on the fire department, I'm gone for 24 hours. That's the whole day. I have to eat there, sleep there, do whatever there. So, unfortunately, if my daughter has, a cheerleading competition or a play or whatever they're involved with, if I'm at the fire department, sometimes I can't make it to that event. So, and that's what really took a lot of my time when I was competing in the UFC. I had to do that all the time, be in the fire department all the time. It left very little time for my kids. So that was kind of the main reason I decided to retire from fighting, so I could spend more time with my family. I felt like I wasn't being a good dad, and I need to do that.
How many times did you get knocked out?
How many times did I get knocked out? Why are you trying to bring up negative stuff? To be honest, I've never been knocked out. Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I don't know if I got like this real thick skull full of concrete or what it is, but I've never been knocked out yet. So. Okay, yeah, like I said, usually when I would play football with kids, I'd be like anywhere from second, third, like fifth grade, right in there. It was that time when I was spending time with a lot of the older kids, and I couldn't really leave too much of my street because where I lived, there was a real busy street right here, and I was on a little side street off of it. So pretty much I spent most of my time there. I wasn't in a big neighborhood where I could go wherever. So that was all I could be till then. And then when I got older, I could go other places. But that time period, I pretty much stayed right by my house most of the time and played football there and just spent time there. But I was probably second, third, fourth grade, right around there. What submission? Actually, I won the submission of the night, I think 3 times with UFC. So my favorite submission, I don't know, I got one of them I did a double submission where I had a guy in a reverse triangle choke and an arm bar. That was a nice one. I did that a couple times. And guillotine choke is one of my favorites. I got a lot of different submissions I like to do. You know what? My parents never really discouraged me from doing anything like that. I mean, they always felt like, I know my mom was very worrisome, and she always went to my competitions, but never really liked them. So if I had a wrestling match and I'm over there wrestling, she'd be like this: "What's he doing? Is he winning? Is he losing?" She wouldn't watch, but she'd go to him. She felt the same way with football. She wanted me to participate. She wanted me to do well, but she didn't want to watch because it scared her. So she never really stopped me from doing it, but I could tell it made her very nervous.
How did you get inspired to be a UFC fighter?
How did I get inspired to be a UFC fighter? Well, it was weird. When I first started fighting, the sport was very small. It wasn't that big, so it was just something I did because I liked the competition. I was a wrestler, and I always loved watching boxing, so it was just something I got into in that way. And the sport kept growing, and I started doing very well. I started going over to Japan to fight. They kept sending me over there, and it let me really travel the world, which was kind of, I've been to Japan now many times, I've been to Australia a few times, I've been over to England a few times, Ireland, Sweden, China. I got to go all over the place to compete in this, so I just really loved every aspect. I mean, I like the lifestyle, I like the training. It always gives me a goal. I mean, I'm a very goal-oriented person, and if I know I have a fight this day, I work my whole life around making that happen that day, and being very goal-oriented kind of helped inspire me to do that. What sports do my kids do? Well, right now, my son was a basketball player. My one daughter, she ran track, but she doesn't do that anymore now. She's just a cheerleader. My other daughter, Corinne, she runs track, but she's really into doing a lot of plays and stuff right now. So, and Jake doesn't really do any sports with me right now, so that's about it. Did I break any bones? Yes, I did break bones. I broke hands. I broke some bones in my feet. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell if you look at that bone right there, it sticks out quite a bit on my shoulder. I don't know, if I can push it down, it comes out of the shoulder bone. Yeah. More than bones, though. I mean, I had a lot of lacerations and cuts. I have had a lot of stitches on my face here and here and here. Like you see spots on my head. It was mainly small cuts. Yeah, every now and again I did break a few bones. Yeah, I had a sister, but the funny thing is, my sister was the same age as she was 3 years older than me. So she was in the same grade as those older boys I used to play with. So, but when I'm in 3rd grade, season 7, the last person she would have played with was her younger brother. It was funny. Back then they used to have. It was like a VCR, but it's like a tape recorder. You could just hear stuff. And we were listening. We found an old tape from when I was a little kid. And she was a little kid. She was in there with one of her friends, and they were playing on the tape recorder. And all of a sudden, you heard me walk into the room and go, "Can I play with you now?" And they go, "No," and slam the door. So I'm like, "Okay, you guys treated me bad too." So,
how about one more question, Chris?
Okay. Oh, she was real excited.
Okay. And Sweden, did you just stand there and do that? Did you actually go around hugging people?
When I was in Sweden, my friend competed in a fight. I was one of his cornermen, so I was there to help him get ready for his fight. And so we did that. Then we stayed after for about 3 days, and then I got to go around all the Swedish people and meet people and talk to people. And it was a lot of fun. On a lot of my travels, I've been very fortunate enough to be able to go all over, talk to a lot of people, see how they do things in other parts of the world. I think it's very important to see. I mean, I love that when I go to Japan, they treat everybody very good. They're very respectful. And I just like to see how other parts of the world do things. And I've learned a lot from that. I think the more you can travel, the more you can do, the more positive and negative things you can learn about here. And it kind of helps you learn what kind of person you want to be. That's what I think. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for being here. You have some good questions. Thank you for listening to what I have to say. And I please just want you guys to think about the things that I said. Think about, for no other reason, if you think about treating other people good, that'll make you feel better about yourself. So if you want to feel good, if you want to wake up in the morning and be happy with yourself, try and treat somebody else good. Thank you.
Hey, kids, if you'd like a copy of Chris's book, you can order those online at Amazon.com. No.
Just lightsoutOnBullying.com.
LightsoutOnBullying.com. And actually, I think we had some order forms put in mailboxes, or we can get some here in the office. And if you can see Chris's helper back in the back, if you like her shirt, you can also order those shirts. And look for Chris and his